Hello and welcome to a special episode of Painting Challenge. Today we're painting up the 1/12 scale Mandalorian. This is definitely a scale that I'm not used to, but I wanted to try my hand at doing something on a larger scale. So this is a Bandai Model Kit, and you can get two different versions. This is just the grey plastic version rather than the already chrome metal look finish to the armor. So here's a good look at all the components in the box. It does come with some stickers as well, which I probably won't be using. This challenge is twofold. I wanted to paint something larger than I'm normally used to, and especially with articulation. And secondly, I wanted to try painting chrome as well. So you can see I'm just cutting out the pieces here from the sprues and just tidying them up with an X-Acto. And I'm using the instructions to build, but I'm only building up to a certain point with areas of this figure. So for example, the helmet and the torso, I'm just building and I'm making sure to glue certain areas, but I still want the articulation. So any kind of ball joint, I'm just leaving free. So here's where I got to. So the main figure is built, and then all of the armor pieces are separate, and the gauntlets and the gloves and things are separate as well. The figure comes with a few extra accessories and different looks that you can build. This is just a basic look with the jetpack, and I'm also going to be using just 2 of the 4 hands that it comes with. In order to make the paint adhere to the shiny plastic, I'm going to hit this with some UV Super Clear. This is a matte varnish that I'm just applying all over the main body of the figure here, and then I'm posing him and getting all in between all those joints. And then for the chrome, I'm going to be using the Alclad range, and this is a lacquer paint, so you have to make sure that you clean your airbrush with the Alclad cleaner afterwards as well, right here. So I'm priming all the armor pieces with a gloss black, and the Alclad aircraft aluminum works really well with a shiny undercoat. And here I am applying the Airframe aluminum on top. And what I'm going for is a nice brushed steel look rather than a mirror finish. And I'm going to apply some aqua gloss on top. This is a gloss lacquer, and this will just help protect the finish but keep the shininess. And while that's drying, I'm going to move over to the main figure. So I'm applying just some Agrax Earthshade here. This is just a normal acrylic shade. And I'm just applying this all over, just letting it seep into the creases. It can be pretty challenging with an all-over figure like this, so I'm just doing it in stages and then moving on to the next stage and painting over the previous. I'm also making sure to get the belt here as well. Nothing in the Star Wars universe is ever shiny and new, so to help reinforce that, I'm using some Seraphim Sepia wash, and on the chrome pieces of the armor, I'm just adding a little bit of like sand or grime in the corners and the recesses here. And rather than do an all-over wash, I'm just targeting specific areas. This is a technique called pin washing, and it can be quite effective at just pinpointing certain areas that you want to apply the wash to. I'm also using a damp brush just to help feather the edge and clean up some of that overspill. And lastly, I'm just applying the armor pieces back to the main figure with some super glue. And at this point, I'm building up the rest of the figure just to see how it looks overall. I've also built the cloth cape into the armor as well, as per the instructions. So for the base, this is a Vallejo mud texture, and I'm just applying this all over with a spatula here. And while that's still drying, I've got a few pieces of cork that I'm just digging into the mud texture. I'm taking a regular acrylic black here and I'm painting in the T-shape on the helmet. I'm taking care not to get it on the existing armor, but if I do, it's still glossy enough for me to wipe off quickly. And after looking at some reference, I've noticed that there's also some just small dents and scuffs and things. So I'm using a neutral grey and I'm just dabbing on some extra damage on some of the armor. For the markings on the thigh, I'm starting off with a black, and I'm just laying in those details. I'm being overly generous with the marking here, and I'm going to give this 2 coats. On the visor, I'm applying a gloss. This is a Vallejo gloss varnish, and I'm just applying a couple coats on the visor just to help give it some shine. I've picked out a fairly close match in the brown. I believe this is Rinox hide. And I'm applying this to the straps on the leg here. And with that same brown, I'm filling in the rest of the markings on the thigh pad. This is Scale Color's Speed Metal, and this is a pretty good match to the Airframe aluminum. So I'm applying this to all the shells and canisters and things he has on his belts. I'm also using that brown to fill in a couple of the other straps on the other leg. I'm just slowly making my way around the model, just filling in these details. Here's another scale color paint. This is orange leather, and I'm using this for the other strap on his leg here. I'm mixing in a little bit of the Rinox hide and kind of coming up with my own brown, and I'm applying this here. Going back to the speed metal, I'm just gently brushing over the edges of the thigh pad and just getting in some of those details. I'm applying some gentle scratches and chips and dents here. I'm also making sure to get some of these details on the opposite knee pad as well. And I switched out to a black just to add some variation. Going back to that orange leather mix, I'm using this to add a few scratches to all the leather pouches, and this just helps break up the materials that these are made of, and to help distinguish it from the rest of the body. The cape is a little bit too uniform for my liking, so I'm taking a knife and I'm just fraying out the edges. I'm just pulling at the fabric and helping break up that silhouette. I'm also cutting some holes in the fabric by folding it over. And then occasionally double checking to see how it looks on the model. I'm applying a greenish grey to the backs of the hands. And then I'm applying a fairly muted blue to the little triangle on the armor. And then lastly, I'm applying a fairly strong yellow to the fingers of the gloves here. And then giving the whole hand a wash in the Seraphim Sepia. For all of the guns, I'm giving a quick dry brush in the silver. And if you're looking for some more dry brushing tips, you can check out my other video on dry brushing techniques, which I'll link in the video here. For the tuning fork area of the rifle here, I'm applying a nice gold. This is a scale color gold. And then I'm using that same gold for some of the details on the rest of the rifle and the scope. I'm brushing on a few more of the details with some pure speed silver here. And then for the handguard, I've gone back to the Rinox hide and applied that here. I really like the burnt appearance in the show of the rifle, so I'm using a purple and I'm just applying this very softly. This is a very watered down purple to the ends of the rifle here. Gives a nice burnt gold brass kind of look. And for the Darksaber, this is just a black undercoat with just some pure white around the edges, and then some very scraggly lines in the middle to give the impression of the energy or the lightning in the middle. I'm adding in a few more details like the red on the bombs on his belt here. And then moving back to the base, I've added a quick wash of Sand Golem. This is a contrast paint all over. And then once that's dry, I'm dry brushing on some Iroko from Scale Color. And I'm slowly building this up in layers. I like the gradient that I've managed to get from the contrast paint before it. And so I'm building up to a birch color. And then lastly, I'm taking some pigment powder. This is a nice mustard color. And I'm using an old makeup brush and I'm just applying some of this pigment powder to the rest of the base. And then lastly, gently dusting this onto the boots, the bottom of the legs, and the cape. This helps add a little bit of realism to the character and scale. It also helps tie them to the environment as well. And there you have it, a really cool looking Mandalorian model kit. This is something a little different. I've done some Black Series customs in the past, but nothing to this extent. It's a little bit taller than the normal Black Series scale, but it fits pretty nicely with the rest of the figures here. I really enjoyed painting something on a bigger scale, and also tackling the Alclad chrome for the first time as well was really fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, or if you've done one of these yourself before as well, or some Black Series customs. Like the video if you enjoyed this content, it really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I occasionally do these really cool painting challenges interspersed with some normal miniature painting videos. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much. This was a big milestone for me to get to this point, for 250 subscribers, and we're still climbing, which is great. I've got a lot more of these challenge videos planned. I've got some really cool miniature stuff coming down the line. So yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.